that lake was supposed to be converted into Madiwala Lake was supposed to convert to another locality. The people around the lake, the Resident Welfare Association, all those people decided to fight against the authority. We were all able to protect that lake, and that lake exists today. I'm 42. I still don't have a driving license. I cycle to work, and we don't even have a dining table. We sit on the floor. What is good to the environment is generally good to us. Water as a liquid is transparent and clear. What if you make the data of water transparent and clear and build solution on top of the data?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sustainably Curious. I'm Pramod, and I started this podcast with the intention of learning sustainable habits that we can inculcate in our day to day lives. When we think of sustainability, we often think of big global challenges. But for today's guest, it all started beside his lake during his childhood in Bangalore. I'm super excited to welcome Ganesh Shankar, founder of FluxGen and Sustainability Mafia. He's a climate tech builder, entrepreneur, and someone who spent close to 2 decades in this space with the intention of not just living sustainably, but helping others live sustainably as well. So, Ganesh, super excited to dive in. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. I was very pleasantly surprised by the title, Sustainably Curious. I think both the words are very close to my heart. I'm a Bangalorean, like you are. I grew up in BTM layout. In fact, right now my office is in BTM layout. And I still remember my earliest childhood. I was about 9 years, and I'm from a family of teachers, and my father has been a very workaholic person throughout his life. Even now he's 79 and he still teaches. He used to spend really good time with me on Sunday.
Got
So
it.
and yeah, I grew up in the near this lake, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
Madiwala Lake. It's a very integral part of BTM layout. I don't know if people ever come to this side of the city, they should see the this lake. Glad it exists. There's a reason why it exists. So yeah, as I told you, my father used to take me to this lake, and we used to, my sister and myself used to look at the birds. There were migratory birds coming from very different part of the world. You would not believe it would come from Europe and various other places. But one fine day, I was told that this lake will be converted into a locality.
Wow.
And I mean, like, to my father, it was not a big deal. He had seen Dharmambudi Lake becoming Majestic Bus Stand, Kepambudi Lake becoming KR Market. Kormangla Indoor Stadium, National Game Stadium was a lake, and various other, even the hockey stadium was also a lake. Today we wonder why where there is a flood in Bangalore, but actually water is going to place where it belongs to whenever there's heavy rain. That lake was supposed to be converted into Madiwala Lake was supposed to convert to another locality. The people around the lake, the Resident Welfare Association, all those people decided to fight against the authority. So yeah, I had seen activism very early in my life. I saw these people really fight against. They also got the Karnataka Forest Department, and they wanted to protect this lake, and also conducted a painting competition to be more inclusive in this activism, so that kids like me who also wants the lake to be there to join the whole activism. So it so happened that we were all able to protect that lake, and that lake exists today. And fortunately, I also won the painting competition. They gave
Amazing.
they gave me the title friend of lake. The certificate said friend of lake, signed by the forest official. Along with the certificate, they also gave me a prize, and there was a environment encyclopedia inside that. Back then, I used to not read much. I used to be a very outdoor guy, playing and all those things. But when you win something, and this is one of my earliest wins in my life as well. So I wanted to use what I got. I started reading the book, the Environment Encyclopedia. Started understanding what is air pollution, noise pollution, water pollution, greenhouse gas emission, ozone layer depletion very early on, and it also kind of tuned my mind. I mean, also the whole activism by various, they had Arundhati Nag, Suresh Ublikar, all these environmentalists, environmental activists had come and given a talk. So there was already a pep talk given on why we should preserve our environment, and that was a good thing before reading the book as well. So it was overall a great exposure, to be honest, where environmental damage was about to happen. It had already happened to an extent anyway, but this didn't happen. So that changed a lot of my habits, knowing all this information about air pollution, all the waste that goes into plastic waste. Today, it seems like everybody has started woken up to all these challenges, but this was happening perpetually from the time those times itself, but at different proportion, of course. And of course, I traded the Diwali crackers with something more fun at that time. I think I remember it must be cricket ball and bat.
And what year was this?
I was 1994.
Wow.
I was
Okay.
about 10-year old.
So
Yeah.
literally, it's like a domino effect. Like this event in your life led to multiple things, which we'll get into later. But it feels like the start was it's like domino effect, like that started way back in '94.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I was fortunate to be somewhere there at that
Yeah.
time, and so that's why many people say, "Oh, how are you so conscious?" I mean, not every event in everybody's lives are same, right? To me, it
Yeah.
was I was there at that time, and it gave me that trigger to it. If not, I would have not really cared about environment. To be
Mm.
honest, I mean, it was an important trigger in my life. And that actually led to, yeah, today I'm 42. I still don't have a driving license. I cycle to work, and we don't even have a dining table. We sit on the floor. But to be honest, it's not like really altruism kind of thing. I come from a very middle class family, so financially also I always lived in a very humble setup. But the reason was some other event triggered me saying that what is good to the environment is generally good to us. The universe and atom look alike in some way, right? So,
Mhm.
like that, what actually affects the environment affects you at eventually. So, if you're actually want to be fit,
Mm.
we should think about the fitness of the environment. So, I don't know. I mean, it's just my feeling. I could be wrong, but I just realized that sitting on the floor and having food. I don't do yoga, right? But it makes me do yoga.
Yeah.
I don't do much exercise. I'm a very lazy guy. So, but I cycle to work, so that makes sure that I do my quota of exercise, and it helps me stay. Food, of course. Again, I'm born in a vegetarian family. I eat vegetarian. If not,
Yeah.
also I feel like it's good for the environment because and it also is
Yeah.
generally good. So yeah, I mean, it's as I said, it is not entirely like, oh, I want to save the world or anything like that. I just felt that this lifestyle helps personally as well.
That's
Yeah.
great. I completely align with the philosophy that you mentioned, and a great analogy as well. Like how universe, when you look at an or like within an atom, there are a lot of similarities, right? Like, and what you're saying is essentially, if you care for the environment, that also means that you're caring for yourself, and I think vice versa as well. So if you care for yourself and inculcate some of these habits, you tend to heal or be part with nature too. So you mentioned some of them. You cycle to work, you sit down and eat, you've always followed a vegetarian diet. What other habits come to mind that maybe it's second nature to you, but for others, it may be something completely new? So, would love to know a bit about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, I should credit my wife for some of the newer habits I built. So I don't use the tap directly. I have a small mug
Mhm.
and brush my teeth or shave.
Nice.
So because at least the known amount of quantity of water you're
Yeah.
using. Of course, even bathing, I use a bucket. It's
Mm.
also convenient. And again, you have a bit of exercise, you bend.
Yeah.
So I think that way, because I'm from water space, I ended up
Mm.
actually learning a lot more about it. Recently, we started understanding, I understood more about how the water that we consume, whether it
Yeah.
is the water that is used to clean the utensils or the water, I mean, used in bathing. The soap has a lot of chemicals that goes into the sewage treatment plant, which is a central sewage treatment plant. Could be miles away from your home, but it still there is something it goes through this one. So if you use not harmful chemicals, but bioremediation material or like enzyme based, bioenzyme based cleaning, it will have a less stress on your sewage treatment plant, because most of
Okay.
the sewage treatment plant is supposed to treat the human waste, right? But
Yeah.
if you have some chemicals which is very difficult to decompose, the
Mm.
treatment may not really happen well. So those are things that came to my awareness over a period of time.
Mm.
Yeah, choosing the even phenol, right? I mean, that is
Yeah.
as you know, it is a chemical, and breaking it down is much difficult in a treatment plant. So can you use alternate
Okay.
bioenzyme based to clean your toilets? So as I said, these are some of the choices my wife has made, and she's.
Nice. Interesting.
I am happy that she.
And more for myself and also like folks listening, and like where can we search for some of these alternatives or like where what do I type in, because like you said, phenol. So we currently have phenol. So I'd love to like switch to an alternative, or even like soaps, like you mentioned, soaps. You can look at alternative ones. Any particular source or somewhere where you purchase these? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are always these organic. I mean, of course, some of this Sri Ravi Shankar has this thing. That's where she
Mhm.
goes. One
Okay.
of those plays, and so yeah, I'll actually check and share it with
Sure,
you.
sure.
I don't
Yeah,
have it right
I'll
now,
add it in
but
the show
of course,
notes.
in Google, if you type,
Yeah,
you can always get bio environmentally friendly cleaning options,
got it. Cool. Yeah,
whether it is cleaning your utensils or cleaning this one. I think it is also becoming very mainstream today.
yeah,
A lot of people have realized, I mean, we are living, so any form of cleaning, you would
yeah,
probably find an alternate to that. Like
mm,
even, I mean, historically, we used
yeah,
shikekai powder, right? I mean, or this one, right? Today, of course, I use Mira. It's an order, which is at least put in a form that I can use. There are, see, I think the historic, ancient India or wherever you consider, whichever part of the world, if you consider,
yeah,
their roots would have been very organic and very
yeah,
non-chemical based.
yeah,
People hearing from any part of the world, they can actually just do not have to think about India's solution alone, right? I'm
yeah.
an Indian, so I can talk about it. But I'm sure if you are in Cuba or somewhere, if you just ask your grandmother or grandfather,
Yes.
they would
Yeah,
probably tell what was actually there. So yeah, I think going back to some of those roots is a easy way to learn what is sustainable.
yeah. No, yeah, thanks for, I know we deviated a bit from the journey, but it was great to learn more about some of the habits that you've inculcated, and others can also like, pick from that. Coming back, this sort of childhood event kickstarted a journey for you. So maybe you can walk through since then, how did you discover the paths that, various paths. I think your career trajectory is very fascinating. So would love to unpack some of those.
No, thanks for saying that. And yeah, I mean, just like you, I also grew up in Bangalore, and
Yeah.
Bangalore is a great place for people who get attracted to tech career, right? I mean, because you see, I mean, you hear all the great stuff happening. And while I was quite interested in art and others, my parents never pushed me into any of the career trajectory, but I just got attracted to science and engineering. So I studied in Bangalore in RB College, did electronics and telecommunication. And following that, I worked in ISRO as an intern. I was fascinated by aerospace. I mean, space in general. So I wanted to pursue a career in that. But of course, in fact, I worked in a startup soon after my engineering called Next First. It was a robotics company, but I did had written GATE and I got into Indian Institute of Science to do my masters. I got into something aspect of and also when I worked in ISRO, I also came to know, but IIC was one of the important place where ISRO emerged because the
Mm,
longest serving director of ISRO, Dr. Satish Dhawan was the director of ISRO chairman of ISRO, as well as the director of IIC for the
nice.
longest duration in both organizations. So I ended up working in RF and something called ion traps, which are also used in building quantum computers. Yeah, got into a mainstream tech and or rather a lot of interesting work on tech. Fact that I was probably fascinated with aerospace also serendipity works. I got a job in GE Aerospace, and I worked in GE Aerospace for their civil aviation related electronics, building electronics for aerospace application. Then I had a small stint in GE Energy, and then I got back to aviation. What I felt was I was about 27. My mom wanted me to get married. I was not ready. I was not really sure if this is the career I had to pursue. I always thought like I should sort out in terms of my career and then get into other future personal aspect of life. So I thought this is not something I'm doing. Improving an aeroplane by 0.0001% is not what I wanted to do the rest of my life. So I took the decision to leave my job. Of course, I thought, where should I go? What should I do? Since my interest was in environment, thanks to all the Madiwala Kere event, and subsequently being that practitioner in terms of my personal life, not buying stuff which are not good for environment, not completely, but I bought stuff which invariably were affecting the environment. I can't really say I've been like that purist, but still I thought, while you can choose environmentally friendly lifestyle as a good starting point. I thought solving is even more exciting and more useful. Like if I can actually build a business in environment. So I decided to quit my job on the eve of my 27th birthday. I wrote this resignation letter to my boss and I told I want to quit my job in GE and I want to pursue my interest in entrepreneurship, work on eco-friendly engineering solution for our country people in a small way. I was not a person with great ambition, to be honest. Always thought small ambition is good. Big ambition. I had a very different philosophical inclination at that time. I always thought doing small is good. I wrote that mail. I still have it, and I contacted some of my friends. Asked, I want to work on environment. Can you help me? I was this guy always like ask people. I mean, I think if you don't ask, the answer is no anywhere, right? So
Yeah.
just ask. One of my senior from college and professor from IIC, all these people I contacted. So my professor, Professor Ashok Rao from IIC, introduced me to this company called Selco Solar. Harish Hande, who had started this, again, alumnus of IIT Kharagpur, and has done some had done phenomenal work then itself. I'm talking about 2010. He actually was looking at how do you give electricity to rural people, and also, and he always saw that solar is like the wireless power. Right? At the end of the day, it's getting from sun, and you're able to use this power to distribute or give it to people who never had electricity. And so I was fascinated about this whole journey. He had already spent about 10 years in that journey by then. I mean, solar is was like whole India solar capacity was like 25 megawatt.
Yeah.
As I talk to you, it is 100 gigawatt.
Wow.
I mean, I'm talking right now. So you can imagine
Yeah.
at that point of time, he was actually giving decentralized solar electricity by putting small, say, 100 watt panel, 30 watt panel, and power light to these houses. So I went to this place called Ujre, which is close to Dharmasthala, and we used to go and power set up a small solar plant. I also worked on a project where we would get solar electricity and purify water and distribute to the pilgrimage in Dharmasthala. So bunch of this project. So that gave me initial exposure into renewable energy, sustainability. I had still not got hold of the word climate at that time. Greenhouse gas emission, all those things was at least the vocabulary was still there, but climate I came to know much later. I
Yeah.
started using that word. So yeah, that's how I started out in that journey in 2010, and about 2000, next to that, I took a year break, just doing cycle rides. I was living a life
Wow.
of cycling from Bangalore to Savandurga, Chennai, Bangalore to Goa. Oh, of course, thanks to my friend, dear friend Jonathan. I did those rides and bunch of many other rides, Bandipur and various other rides that kind of I was like at that phase of life where I was thinking what I should do. What is my purpose? I mean, those are the times when I used to read all these books, Herman Hesse, Siddhartha, Plato, Aristotle, Lao Tse, Jiddu Krishnamurti, various things. I mean, like, I was just thinking, like, not just it's just not like leaving let it go up. I just
Yeah.
thought I should really do something that makes sense.
What were some of the realizations during that break? It's very interesting. I think it's not common that folks cycle from here to Goa and or like other places. So I'm just curious to know, like a year where you took the break, what shifted for you during that break? What were some realizations that you sort of came across?
So one thing I thought is I mean, I if I'm alive, I'll have 40 years of career ahead, and I don't have to rush.
Yeah.
I can take my own pace and figure out things. And for a guy like me who had very minimal needs, I didn't really have to make a lot of money. I thought like, what is the need to make a lot of money? That was my thinking, and I also thought like until I figure out my life, I cannot. I mean, it's also that I had read the book Siddhartha at that time. It had this quote: "I can think, I can wait, I can fast." So by doing these three things, I can do anything. In fact, it so happens my son's name is also Siddharth for the same reason. So yeah, that was the thing. I just thought let's take it slow. I mean, I really don't have to live a very fast and like really all that material achievement or all that big achievement didn't seem anything so important to be honest at that time.
Nice.
It's only changed now, I could say probably. But to be honest, yeah, I had a very, in 20s, you're idealist, they say, right? Until only
Yeah.
when you get married and you have children, you start knowing various other realities of life. So yeah, that's what I thought. I really thought, let's do it slowly. Let's do one thing at a time. Try new things. Try new adventure and learn from that. And yeah, I mean that's what changed me in that 1 year. Didn't want to impress anyone. Just wanted to live for myself.
Yeah. And it's so important to do that internal work. Otherwise, we're always looking at external triggers and looking at external world. I think that year break would have helped you dive deep internally on what motivates you, what gives you energy, what kind of life you want to design. And Yeah, totally. I mean, I think so. I've had a similar year-long break in my career as well. I highly recommend everyone to go through that because, like you said, there's 40 years of life ahead of you. So, like, how do you want to intentionally build it? And some of this, you want to step out from your comfort zone and just feel lost a bit, and then find your path ahead. I think that's the spirit of it.
Yeah, I'm very glad that I took that year break. I don't know how when I can take that kind of break again in my life. So I'm happy for people who can take break in their career, and I think it's so worth it. I mean, and not worry about it. I
Yeah.
think the whole idea fails if you have taken a break and you're worried in that duration. You
Yeah.
should be like,
True.
okay, let's see what happens.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
I mean, I was also fine about beg, borrow if I didn't have something. Many of these rights, I also learned the generosity of this village people. They just used to
Yeah.
feed food, not think about anything. So yeah, I think just that we have built this thing that we are something, we can't do this. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that after that year, I started working on small projects.
Got it.
2012, I started a fresh career as a. It was almost like 2011 December kind of thing,
Yeah.
working on solar, because solar was the area that I got exposure because of Selco Solar, Dr.
Mhm.
Harish Shande and others, Anand Narayan and many other people whom I worked with. So started working on initial solar installation on rooftops
Mm.
and worked on some of the projects for my alma mater, Institute of Science. They had just set up a center called Divecha Center for Climate Change. That's when I actually understood, oh, climate change, like started the lingo of climate on things. I
Got it.
attended a lot of sessions there because that center used to attract people across the world
Yeah.
and talk about climate change and various reasons. They attracted both skeptics as well as people who are working in this space. So it had both kind of arguments. So people even talking about sunspots could be the reason why climate change is happening. Some people talk about no, it is volcanoes and other things contribute to climate change more than all this human made. So there
Yeah.
was a very interesting place to be at that time. And Professor J. Srinivasan, who happens to be my earliest mentor in this space, he himself was IPCC 4 author, which won the Nobel Prize
Yeah.
along with Al Gore, and he was a lead author of that IPCC 4. So I learned a lot being around with him. He himself was a professor in mechanical engineering department in ISE, Stanford grad, and a very critical thinker, not a very simplistic approach to things. He would go in depth. I'm glad that I had spent many years talking to these people like him to understand a bit about it, how social science, climate, environment, and all those things are interrelated. It's not so easy to say, no, don't use kerosene. I mean, so many people are dependent on that for their livelihood and for them. So I think that intersection of all this aspect, I kind of really appreciate it. I worked on projects on rural agriculture, put up sensors to understand how much water is required to for a type of crop, for a type of soil. How do you irrigate? Wrote bunch of papers. In fact, some of the work didn't turn out to be good business. All these were like kind of pilot projects. That
Okay.
this phase of my life was doing pilot projects, solar
Nice.
electrification. We went to a village and built a microgrid, see how we
Mm.
could distribute electricity inside. So Selco was doing this individual solar panels to a house.
Yeah.
People wanted electricity, a power plant, right? So we were trying to do microgrid, but that whole failed because there's no financing model. I mean, villagers don't have money to pay to these things.
Mm.
And then we worked on water irrigation for agriculture. Again, electricity and water is free of cost for villages.
Yeah.
While I was thinking of solving something at a social this one level, there's no real unit economics to build a business on it. So all these papers, some of them became papers.
Mhm.
We presented in Berkeley, and it became a paper on Springer. It's like that. Some dozens of paper work, pilot projects piled up. Yeah, 2018 is when I decided. I was also teaching at the Institute of Science. I was a adjunct faculty in Center for Continuing Education. This was mainly for working professionals. And that's when I actually spun off my first startup from projects and consulting. This was this company called AirPro. We were initially thinking of putting up sensors in solar panels and understanding the performance of it and how do you repair if the damage that has happened and do it. So we had done for smaller plants, but what we wanted to do was India had also this policy on National Solar Mission, Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission, where they wanted to electrify the whole country through utility scale solar farm. Acres together, hundreds of acres land, which is a barren land, they would put up solar plant
Got it.
and generate electricity, and through a transformer they distribute it to the main grid. So that made the economy of scale would not let you to put sensors on the solar panels because it did not work out. So we decided to, instead of putting sensors, we would actually take one sensor, which is a thermal camera and a radiometric camera, and put it to the drone and fly the drones on these solar assets like utility scales, like hundreds of acres. So what would take months together to find out inefficiencies in solar assets, we would
Yeah.
be able to figure out in less than 2 hours.
Mm.
So, of course, we started doing the pilots in IIC, and then we worked with IIT Bombay, National Center for Photovoltaic Research. There's a great place. One of my friend, Dr. Mehul, who was under Professor Chetan Kumar Solanki,
Yeah.
he kind of introduced us to a bunch of people. He was my batchmate in IIC,
Mhm.
and my one of my earliest employees, Kaustub, in that projects and consulting, became my co-founder.
Oh,
My
wow.
nephew, one of the youngest, he's the eldest nephew. I mean, he's the eldest nephew, correct? The eldest cousin's son. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. I tried avoiding him to get into this crazy place, but he was pertinent and he wanted to, and he became my co-founder in this. In
Nice.
fact, these two guys actually worked really hard on this project. While I continue to run projects and consulting company as well
Yeah.
as this, we ended up building a very solid solution. It achieved the product market fit. We were able to help Tata Solar, Acme, SoftBank Energy,
Oh.
Renew, Adani Solar. Bunch of this went across 3 continents, and this company eventually got an acquisition offer, and we mutually decided to go for it. And this
Got
company
it.
was acquired by a San Francisco-based company called Zeitview.
Mhm.
In fact, Aditya and Kaustubh joined that, and I had a exit. I wanted to do something. Time is not on my side. At least these boys were in their 20s.
Got it.
So I still wanted to build something. And I think, yeah, that's when I decided to spin off the next water management idea into a new company, that is FluxGen Sustainable Technologies. That was exciting to build something that was completely bootstrapped.
Ah,
I really think all your survival skills comes really strong when you build a bootstrapped company
nice. Yeah.
because I mean you have to put all, I mean, creativity, everything comes out when you're completely dependent on your outcome of your work.
Correct.
It's very
I think like
interesting.
constraints sort of bring out creative solutions. So like bootstrap, when you bootstrap it, you have to find creative ways to make things happen. But there's been a fascinating journey from childhood to till the point when you started FluxGen. Yeah, I would love to know I think a bit about how did you come with the idea for FluxGen, and at the same time maybe after that you also started Sustainability Mafia. I think it happened around similar timeline. So yeah, you can cover both of them.
Yeah, I think water was very close to my heart,
Mhm.
and also because of Madiwala Lake.
Yeah.
And 2018-19, Niti Aayog released the Composite Water Index report,
Mm.
which actually talked about the crazy water crisis we all were going through. It said 21 Indian cities is running out of groundwater. Bangalore is one of the worst affected. And it said 70% of water in India is contaminated. And it talked about the water risk. We are extremely high risk. More than 54% of India is under extremely high water risk. So all those things kind of was very alarming. While I was with AirProbe itself, I was thinking this is something important that I want to solve. And I had realized that I had chosen a not so business problem
Mm.
when we were working on agriculture. It lacked unit economics. In fact, 2017-18 is when I started really thinking like a businessman. I really, fact that I didn't come from a business family or the, it was also very R&D mindset before that. So fortunately, we got into a bunch of programs, Cisco Launchpad and various other programs, which kind of gave us the exposure on how a for-profit company can be built and what all needs to be taken into account. So all these things helped me decide to zero in on water project, and we had done one work for Titan Jewelry Division during the projects and consulting. They wanted to have digital water management for their entire facility, and at that time we had made a prototype pilot thing. I'll show the picture also.
Sure.
This where there is this box and bunch of water pipes going in and all this electricity. They saw this work in one of the fair. And
Mhm.
we want this water management, you don't want electricity management. But that we had done this microgrid and all, but they told we are only keen on water. So that also helped us present to them and led us to do that project where we would digitize water infrastructure by putting water flow meter, water level sensor, eventually water quality, and that helped us actually get into the space for a industrial and commercial side. And we took that idea, whatever we did for them, we decided to scale it for many other. Today we have 100 plus clients today. Our thesis was very simple. Water as a liquid is transparent and clear. What if you make the data of water transparent and clear and build solution on top of the data? Would you be
Got it.
able to solve for water crisis, or at least de-risk somebody who's facing water crisis? So we thought, yeah, it should. At least if you don't measure, you can't manage. And
Yeah.
that's how we built by digitization. Now, of course, we have various other algorithms, artificial intelligence, and others to actually help in taking more wiser decision in water. We have developed a dashboard and we have developed our own Gen AI.
How does your solution help like company, like your customers on the ground? Like what does, is it like a hardware that helps them and and a software that brings data in? Like if you can just walk us through how it helps customers there.
Yeah. So our customers are typically like the Tata Steels,
Mhm.
Aditya Birla, Mahindra hospitals. So they get water from multiple sources, could be from groundwater, tankers, could be from municipality. And then they actually consume at various levels in the facility. They use it in chiller, boilers, various cleaning operations, and then they store the water in the overhead tanks. And also they eventually goes to the effluent treatment plants.
Okay.
So what we would do is we put up sensors, which include
Mhm.
water flow meter, water level sensor, water quality sensors in various places. And we are able to bring this data onto the dashboard, whether it is how much water is being consumed. We have a suite that helps in identifying where there is leakage, wastage, excessive usage.
Mm.
We help our customers reduce water consumption by up to 30%. One of the case of Tata Steel is where the managing director of Tata Steel Mining said that they reduce their water withdrawal in mines by up to from 1 cubic meters to half cubic meters,
Oh.
and they reduce their water consumption in the plant by 26%. So, and now we have also been able to build more solution on top of the data. We are able to improve the performance of rainwater harvesting system,
Mm.
water treatment. And if you stay in an apartment, do you stay in an apartment?
Yeah, so I stay in HM World City. There are 1,000 apartments in this society.
Yeah, if I ask you this question, if is the rainwater harvesting system working well all the time, would you have an answer?
I wouldn't know. I think there is work on it,
Maybe
but I
the
don't know
water
how well it
team.
works.
Yeah, so many times most of rainwater harvesting system works very well on the ribbon cutting day.
Mm.
Nobody knows how it works after that.
Yeah.
What if a bird has dead there and people might have stopped using the rainwater? So we are trying to make sure that bring accountability to this investment done in rainwater harvesting, investment
Yeah.
done in wastewater treatment.
Mm.
So if you want to make of course we don't work with apartments. I'm just saying in general to our industrial customers. If you want to make any facility water positive, you have to utilize most of the rainfall that falls on the rooftop and treat most of the water that you consume that goes to effluent treatment plant, sewage treatment plant. That should come back to you in some way, whether to for your flush or various other process in industry, and also minimize the overall consumption of water.
Mm.
So FluxGen does facilitate through a digital layer in doing all these three things, or even few other things as well, including
Got it.
groundwater and other
Yeah.
things. So our goal is to be that full stack water for industries to make sure that they never have to worry and
Yeah.
provide prescriptive alerts to take corrective action. and eventually avoid any form of risk associated with water. Of course, we have done for municipality as well, Dehradun Smart City. That comes as a small chunk of our business, but major focus has been this.
Got
So
it.
yeah, this is FluxGen, and
Yeah.
yeah, of course, you
Do
guys
you
can.
plan to cater to RWAs or like societies like ours, or is that something you have in mind for the future?
Currently, not in the near future. It's very risky business to be in, where if your payment is dependent on RWA and
Mhm. Yeah.
people keep changing, and I don't know. I mean, as I said, after doing all the business where the unit economics has not been
Yeah.
great, I've been careful in going after, at
Makes
least in the
sense.
sector. Maybe when there are better laws, or actually not laws are there, but a better enforcement on water management in the city comes, where people really are not fooling around with water. They really care. So then probably we might. But as of today, as a startup, you know it, right? You have to
Yeah.
be super focused on few things and do it
Correct.
right.
Makes sense.
And once you do that right, and then you can go into other verticals. And so until you are really done something really well and you build a strong
Yeah.
moat and unit economics works well and strong distribution in the verticals that you are good at, until then it's not good to go after other. So that's why that's also keeps us disciplined. I've been a
Yeah.
very bad entrepreneur, not so efficient entrepreneur for many years, so it took me almost like this many years to do something little better than before.
Yeah. No, I think focus always helps. So no, totally makes sense.
Yeah, happy to share about sustaining mafia as well, since you
Yes, yeah.
asked me this.
So that was going to be my next question. So, around the time I think you mentioned 2017, 2018, while you were on the business side, you were figuring your path, right? And you also started, if I can call it like a movement, Sustainability Mafia. So, would love to know how that came about and what is the intention of it and where is it today?
Yeah, I mean, this was the time my wife and myself were planning to have a child. And, when you're in a business like this, I mean, since you are now in this, you'll know harsh truth about the future because of various things. I mean, it's not just only about climate change or something like that,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's very visible. Air quality is gone for a toss. I mean, water quality and why do we use RO and all those things at home? While if you go to Europe, you get water on
yeah,
taps and you drink. And if you think about our own plastic waste and how it affects so many, so it was very concerning. So I wrote this blog post saying that while there is a fuel mafia, fossil fuel mafia, where is this green mafia? Where is the sustainability mafia? I just wrote this blog post and put it on LinkedIn and various other social media. Of course, today Facebook is dead, but back then it was still there. So I put it in social media, and people actually like the post. They told, "Yeah, I mean, I want to be part of the mafia." It's also this Gen Z thing, no? I mean, like I'm a millennial, but I'm just saying that they like something that is. And a lot of my friends who are in the space that this is so good. We should. I written like, how do we come together? Why are we working in silos? While this space itself is so difficult and depressing in many ways, because nobody likes to talk to us, and they say,
yeah,
oh, this is some thing that this guy is some impact guy, it's not going to make money. They always associated with sustainability, at least then, as like, oh, must be some non-profit he's doing. So we are, while there is a situation like this, why are we working in silos?
mm,
So then I still remember my dear friend, of course now he's become a very dear friend, Arjun, who runs this company called Smart Juice.
mhm,
He was one of the earliest guy who said, no, yeah, I want to be part of the mafia. And he had this screenshot of this I was sharing the other day. Then many other guys came together. We had a WhatsApp group and we
yeah,
started meeting up. This was pre-COVID, right? So we used to
yeah,
catch up. We used to have meetups and talk about what we are doing individually as our business, and how we can actually help each other.
mm,
Like if you think of it, a person who needs a energy efficiency solution, a
yes,
customer, he or she is already looking at a green building, or maybe even IGBC certificate or some green certificate, or they want to get some ESG certificate. They just don't focus only on energy, right? They would look at energy, water, waste,
yeah,
and various other things. So we decided, hey, our audience are the people
mm,
who need everything that we are together. So we started helping cross selling and helping each other. So we came up with a mission statement. Of course, the vision statement was first decided. In fact,
yeah,
The vision statement was something that I had made a vision statement for my career at when I left my job in GI. I wanted to say I want to work towards making sustainability the default choice.
Nice.
Initially, that was a statement for my projects and consulting company as well. But that was anyway not going that way. Where I was not able to. So I just told like let this be the vision statement for Sustainability Mafia to make sustainability the default choice,
Nice.
right? And everybody liked it. So
Yeah.
once you have vision statement, mission statement generally helps to achieve the vision statement over a period of time. So Arjun actually came with a mission statement. It says to make sustainability the default choice, how we should actually multiply the impact of sustainability leaders through goal-oriented collaboration.
Got it.
Like basically, if you think of anything that we are consuming, this shirt, this
Yeah.
tea, whatever, this laptop or table, everything is some way some entrepreneur has built
Yeah.
it, right? I mean, it
Correct.
has
Yeah.
it's made it to existence. If you multiply the impact of these sustainability entrepreneurs or leaders,
Yeah.
then we are making it mainstream. That's how we are making sustainability the default choice. So that was our theory of change, and we thought let's just focus on these two things and build everything on top of these two vision. We'll not deviate from this. Let's focus on this. And Arjun introduced me to his cousin Anirudh at that time, and he told this guy works in Airbus. Why don't you talk to him? I talked to him and I told him you leave. He had already got all this sustainability solution at home,
Wow.
everything. And was in again a very polluting industry like civil aviation that I was at point. I convinced
Yeah.
him to leave his job and asked him, you become the first program manager. His
Yeah.
mother actually, I still remember meeting. She told like he's gonna get into some mafia. What's this? But I was like, so then he actually left his job and he became a program manager. He was doing so much work because Arjun and myself were anyway doing our business. So he was full time. We don't know this guy's a co-founder, not like. And he actually took he ended up getting, we eventually registered as a non-profit foundation in 2020. We did this TEDx as Mafia one. We got all our entrepreneurs speak and various other guys speak. It was a great online event, of course, because it was COVID. And then, of course, we did another TEDx. We did this carbon dating events, like whatever is doing informally by helping each other, we build a structure to all this
Okay.
conversation. We talk for 10 minutes in this carbon date and help each other understand what we are doing and get to know, and then lead to business opportunity. We did carbon date with corporates, carbon date with investors, carbon
Right.
date with talents. So that way we made some method to madness.
Ah.
That's why actually we decided we are focusing on access to our leaders, access to a business, access to capital, access to talent. These are the three things we all require as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We are able to crack this through this thing because access to talent came through a program called Climate Ninja. While we need people to join us, then join Amazon, Microsoft, or Flipkarts of the world before they get placed in colleges, how do we attract them? So we thought
Nice.
we'll do 10 master classes,
Yeah.
each of us 1 hour of our time per quarter, and do this where we talk about it's similar to a pre-placement talk, right? But
Yeah.
more educative, more action
All
oriented,
right.
how
All
they
right.
can buy into our journey. So we would do a 20 minutes of past, present, and future, like how this talk
Yeah.
is I'm talking about, but much shorter, like in 15, 20 minutes we finish that. And then 40 minutes we would just
Q&A.
Q&A, right?
Yeah.
So that any doubt they have in this. So we were able to move a lot of these people. A lot of them also came from IIT Kharagpur and
Nice.
various other colleges. We had all kinds of distribution from law, BComs,
Yeah.
science, this one, all forms of students taking this master class. We have now almost running seventh cohort,
Very
and
nice.
these people take up internship after this 10 master class. They would have exposure to uh, energy, renewable energy, waste, finance, bunch of these things. And then they would say, no,
Yeah.
no, no, I'm attracted to this. And there'll be like five other entrepreneurs working similar space. Like if somebody hears my talk
Yeah.
on water, they would also be interested in probably interning with digital by Mansi, she was a mafia.
Got it.
So like that, they would probably be interested in working in VATS and Enviro as well.
Yeah.
So that they get flavor from all this different.
And
Basically,
how long is this course? The Climate Ninja. What's the duration of it? Yeah.
so it's about 10 classes, 2 classes per week. So it is around
Okay.
five
So like
weeks
five,
you're done
five
with
to six
masterclass.
weeks. Yeah.
And then internship is mandatory.
Okay.
So they would have to do at least a month or two
Got it.
online or in person, whichever they decide, within 1 year of completing this class.
Yeah.
And then they would become climate ninja. So I was fortunate to have very good ninjas, and
Very nice.
we have done some good work with these people. So
Yeah.
like this, many of them have like this is Alok who has utilizes this. He's from superhuman race.
Uh-huh.
He's got. I think you should talk to him as well. Another great guy
Sure.
you should talk to.
Yeah.
So he's been able to get at least some. Every time he gets 4 5 ninjas, and he would take them as. They have become some of his very important people in the company today. He's hired at least 4 5 guys,
Nice.
and so yeah, there's people who have been able to take full advantage. And these guys are always so curious, like
Yeah.
and sustainably curious. In fact, these are those
Yeah.
guys. So yeah, I mean, like that we started, and then we also done something called Sus Ventures.
Just on the Climate Ninja part one, so you said it's a seventh cohort, so it happens once a year, or
Every quarter we intend to do one, and we also have, like, just like how you have TEDx where you
yeah,
run your own separate cohort, or
correct,
even Toastmasters where you can start your own this one, right?
yeah,
So I am Lucknow has been able to start their own cohort, and Terry
yeah,
School of Advanced Studies been able to, Vitspilani and IIT Madras, so many other institutes have also been able to. So Sasmafia runs the central cohort every quarter. We
sure.
also been able to partner with Nadi, the woman in
Yes,
climate.
yeah, yeah,
So we have been able to do that. So like that, various cohorts have been running. Seven has been run by Climate Ninja as a central this one.
got it.
But we many people I mean, it's not like really build a licensing model, but
Yeah.
they have been able to start. To us, it's all open source. There's not.
A brilliant initiative. And given that you've gone through seven cohorts, and like I think you touched upon it earlier, that folks typically from college that get into like Flipkarts or like during our time, I think Schlumberger, ITC, and those used to be sort of the day zero, day one kind of companies, right? From your own experience of the seven cohorts, what has helped convince people to move into this path, or what do you think will convince more people to actually take this up as a career path over what's traditional paths, that's usually there?
See what we the central idea why we wanted to do this was, entrepreneurs are also great communicators, right? I mean, while because we learn to sell as part of our jobs, right, as part of our career. So in general, they would have learned all the subjects from professors. I'm not saying they're not great at. They are good. I mean, of course, they are probably very good at the subject. But entrepreneurs also have ground knowledge, and their ability. They've been very good at selling. So
Mm.
now, when you are actually you put an entrepreneur in a classroom, they would
Mm.
actually be talking in a very passionate way,
Yeah,
and they are able to talk about whether it is in terms of numbers or impact. And climate entrepreneurs or sustainability entrepreneurs in general are very passionate.
yeah,
So I think the whole storytelling part helps them. At the end of the day, we're all because of stories that we have heard in our childhood to now, right? So some way, Climate Ninja rallies on that.
mm,
We bring in people who are very good at. It's also how do you hit the emotional chord? You
right,
can tell all logical stuff.
yeah,
So that's the whole idea. And we talk about, like, it's a practitioner driven, solution focused approach. We believe the professors are great. And I mean, I'm sure I have great respect to the professors I am studied. But they talk a lot of theory, which is important for your foundation. But Climate Ninja, on the other hand, talks about application, talks about what you can do, right? And many students also want to get into startup jobs. And other startup entrepreneurs probably never do. I mean, you would never find a razor pay founder doing a course on how to, right? They already have a demand for it. So but we are so forthcoming, we are telling.
yeah,
So I think it's also the each entrepreneur for some reason has some story about their own reason why they chose this career. I mean, it's just, see, this is financially not a very rewarding career anyway, right? So I mean, compared to the other jobs that you can
correct,
think.
yeah,
So obviously something else would have triggered them to take up this career path.
yes,
And when they hear that, it also helps this young thing that I think this is very important. And
yeah,
why why it excites them the most is because, at least I'm 42, but many of these guys are in their early 20s. So
yeah,
they know that this environmental damage is going to affect them. The climate or whatever that we are talking about is going to affect them more than
yeah,
you or me,
yes,
right? But to
yeah,
them. So that also tells them, like, we want to be in the side of solution
mm,
than the side of
the
problem.
problem,
So, and yeah, we also, I mean, I don't know how this one, but we also talk very passionately and try
yeah,
to tell why they should actually jump into this whole thing.
nice,
And also, this, I appreciate all these people who have done great foundation, whether it's Greta Thunberg or whoever it is. Great activism has led to that awareness. So,
correct, yeah,
but we are a solution focused, practitioner driven. So we always try to tell now, now you've heard the activism. Let's
yeah,
get into action.
mm,
So I think some of this, right? I mean, storytelling is something
Yeah.
that helps
I think, yeah, it
people.
basically it drives awareness on this is a possible path that you can explore. A lot of times, like, people might just not know that there are these things happening, or people who are building these exciting solutions and solving some problems, right, which are technically challenging. But I think driving more awareness sort of is key. And one of the reasons why this podcast also exists is, like, maybe we should start talking more in our own way and see, hopefully it impacts others.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, if anybody listening to this, please let me know if you want to be interested in this one. And of course, there's one more program which I missed. Is called SusVentures.
Yeah.
While there are already a lot of entrepreneurs like us, but there's so many white spaces, as they say, same white spaces in entrepreneurship, right? So in climate and sustainability. So we realized that we should also breed new entrepreneurs. And I've done many mistakes as an entrepreneur, and many of our friends in Mafia also. So at least let's help the other guys. So we started associating with BITS Pilani, IIT Madras. BITS Pilani, in fact, we partnered for a program which is I think, 3 or 5 credit course itself, where
Very nice.
it pre-final year and final year students can take in all campuses of BITS Pilani in India. And after this whole course, they would also get a grant money of almost 31.4 crore spy grant. And we last year did this event. This podcast is going to be launched before June 19th. So do come to SusCrunch.
Oh yeah, this
Uh,
this podcast will be launched this week itself. Would love for you to talk about the event and what it's about. Say, like, would love for folks to listen in on that.
Yeah, so this program actually started with since we were doing initially TEDx, then we
Yeah.
thought we should do our own event, SusCrunch, and primarily get new entrepreneurs, give them the stage, right? I mean, people like me always, or founders like me and various, generally get an opportunity. Like you have given me a chance to speak, right? We want our new, just out of college, who are trying taken that bold step against
Yeah.
all the odds to get that platform to present. Right. So Suspense last year we did it in Leela Palace. We had around more than 200 people coming
Wow.
in, and five young entrepreneurs, five teams, and there were actually 17 teams, more than 50 students who actually participated in that SusVenture program in BITS Pilani from multiple campuses, of which we selected five teams as the finalists. And they were able to pitch on the Sunstar Crunch. And one winner, of course, her name is Anaga from Biocompute. She won that Pi grant, 31.4 lakhs grant, and supported by SAS Mafia and Bitslani together. And she actually started something called Biocompute. And in fact, she did so well, and she's still doing really well. I mean, I hope she really achieves her goal. She also got the WTF grant by Nikhil Kamath as well, post that,
Great.
and
Yeah.
doing really good work. So like this, and other entrepreneurs who also graduated got various other grant, and are building their startup sort of various places, various accelerator, and Sasmafi is very happy. This year, we have this ambition to have 40 new startups coming out this year,
Wow.
and some of them will be presenting in SusCrunch on June 19th, whole day event
Yeah.
and Bangalore Creative Circus near Yeshwanthpur. And this also you'll see a lot of startups, and you'll see a lot of founders like me, like at least some 50, 60 founders like me. And you'll also see a lot of investors from various, whether it is Omnivore or Sequoia or various guys, including a lot of angels very keen on deploying capital in climate. A lot of industry leaders who are looking for solutions that are not available, or looking for solutions that they want to source. You will see a lot of ecosystem players like Thai Bangalore or various
Sure.
other ecosystem that you see. You will see all kinds of people coming to this event, and we are very excited and hope. Since you are seeing this before the event, June 19th, please register on susmafia.org or follow our LinkedIn page. You'll be able to register to the event. And yeah, I mean, quite excited to meet and understand what you want
Yeah.
to offer to this ecosystem. You could be a ninja, you could be a entrepreneur building a new venture, or could be an ecosystem supporter, or somebody like Pramod who just likes to be curious about sustainability. You want to eventually start up on this, so this could be a great place. In fact, Pramod, I really hope you meet some of these people in the event and see how you can support them.
Yeah.
Maybe you get some of these people to the podcast. And yeah, I really like the new generation. I might be like ageist, but they think very differently than my generation
Yeah.
and the previous generation. They're more action oriented, more curious on doing things, and yeah, I think they would not take that fail safe approach like our generation did. They would actually be very adventurous, and you'll find many of these guys
Totally
event.
looking forward to it. So yeah, like 19 June. Where is it happening?
Bangalore Creative Circus,
Got it.
Yeshwantpur.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to joining and looking forward to meeting a lot of folks there. Yeah, no, thanks so much. It's great to learn about not just from your childhood, what inspired to, and I think water has sort of been a theme all through. It's great to like learn how it's come at different points in your life, and also about sustainability mafia, the intention, and how it's grown over the years. I just have a few quick rapid fire questions for you, Ganesh. So we'll just go over them and let's see what emerges. So one is very relevant to what you've already done. You've worked on various projects. So outside of FluxGen, what would be your favorite project that you worked on and why?
Yeah, I think the favorite project would be I was in this G was where I used to work, and
Yeah.
I had to do this green belt, project.
Yeah.
So corporate environment always was very challenging. Not a person like to me, very outdoor. So I took up a very interesting project was to do automatic meter testing. I was also in that energy meter business at the time,
Okay.
and that project I didn't sleep for 4 5 nights, and it was something that helped me test a meter what would take some 1 hour to test. We would be able to test it in 1 minute. So that also gave me the trigger that if I could do this all myself, I could probably be an entrepreneur. So that was the last project I guess I did before leaving. So that kind of I just remember that, and it was fun. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. And yeah, what's the one sustainability habit that you swear by?
I don't know. I mean, like cycling is something that I love to do.
Got it.
So
On that,
as
on that,
long
I
as I
have a
can.
question. So, like, is your house close to your office, or and let's say if you have to cover longer distance, I know you've gone from like Bangalore to Goa, but let's say within Bangalore, if you have to go further, like, do you use public transport or you still cycle?
No, I use public transport. I use also other means like Ola, Uber as well. Today it is around 5 kilometers. My office was also around 8 kilometers before
Yeah,
at one point of time. So I used to cycle. As I
nice.
said, yeah, I also hoping I'm waiting for this to get this metro to work in BTM layout. I'm hoping the metro comes through.
Yeah,
But yes, I being not honest, I'm not so idealist I used to be. But yes, I wish I like to cycle as long as I can. Of course, I do cycle rides on even long distance ride today also
wow,
on Independence Day and Republic Day. Before I used to do on Gandhi Jayanti also. These 2 days we still do 3 days ride or 2 days ride around 200 to 300 kilometers. Not like 600 anymore, but at least in the range of 300 kilometers we do. Anybody
very nice.
watching,
Yeah.
always reach out to me on before Republic Day, Independence Day.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. And any book, movie, or some person who's inspired you, like any recommendation for folks?
Yeah, many books. I think one is, of course, Siddhartha by Hermanes, which I mentioned, something
Mm.
that I really like. I think it also talks about self exploration and where this guy actually meets Gautam Buddha in the book. It's a fiction, of course. And so while we always, there are great things to hear from so many people, but self exploration is something that is underrated. So I think that one, and there are many. I mean, Gurcharan Das, India Unbound, Difficulty of Being Good is one of my favorite as well, where he brings Mahabharata into today's world.
Right.
And yeah, I've read many versions of Mahabharata. My father is a big fan of Mahabharata. He's got many versions of Mahabharata at home, and I got introduced to a lot of. I mean, there we only hear mainstream stories of Mahabharata.
Yeah,
There are
correct.
stories of Vikarna. So many guys who are like very less known. I like reading the less known stories of
Yeah,
Mahabharata.
nice. Which is the one story that has stayed with you?
Yeah, I'll tell about Vikarna since that came in. So basically, Vikarna is one of the brothers of Duryodhana. I think he's the second or third, and he was in that Draupadi Vastravarna when it was happening,
Mm.
disrobing of. But he was sitting there, and well, even Dronacharya and I mean, our Bhishma, all these people were silent
Yeah,
when such a thing was happening. He actually stood up and actually protested against this. This is not what we should be doing. This is like we
yeah,
are. This is not the ethics of king, and he was the one who actually did protest. But then that was his dharma. That's what he did. And then I think when Kauravas and Pandavas were in the war, Karna, of course, followed his dharma of being part of Kauravas. And Bhima, who had decided to kill all the Kauravas, kill everybody, all brothers of Duryodhana, he actually pleaded in front of Vikarna, say, no, you move on. You are on our side, or you are in our side. You are trying to uphold the dharma. So Vikarna tells him that, see, I was upholding the dharma then by standing up for that, and now I'm upholding dharma as a warrior. I am part of Kauravas. I have to fight with you, and so I can't move. So he actually eventually Bhima fights with him and kills him, but he was one of the I mean, it was the most painful ones apparently of Bhima, or actually have killed him. But yeah, I think
Interesting.
knowing our dharma at any point of time,
Yeah.
that what is my dharma right now. So yeah, that has stayed. I mean, that question I keep asking myself, what is my dharma right now? So that story
Nice.
is one among those.
Amazing. And yeah, what gives you hope for the future?
I think people like you taking up career. I mean, I mean, you're IIT grad. You went to you went to Bain. You went to Zomato. You were the VP of Zomato, and you started up. And now you want to be in the space like this, and you want to have this conversation, right? I think that gives me enormous hope that if people like you choose to work in sustainability, smart guys, smart people, going with what is the right thing to do. I think that gives me hope. I think we need more people like you to actually choose this career and want to do something about it. I think that gives me hope.
No, I think it's inspiring to learn from folks like you who've sort of gone through this path and discovered various learnings over the years, right? And hopefully we can take inspiration from that and take baby steps in this space. So looking forward to it.
As I told you, even Anshuman at one point of time, I was like you, was actually exploring his career, next career by doing podcast. And look, he's actually built such a
Yeah,
amazing thing.
I'm very thankful to him creating Terra. I was part of Terra cohort recently, and this idea of the podcast emerged while I was going through the course, and I was reflecting on what can I do. And one of the assignments I thought of was like, at least I can start with this and see where it goes. And then many months later, I then finally decided to start doing this. Yep, I think one last question that I had was with the intention of folks who are listening in, and I was in this position before where like would love to wanted to contribute to sustainability in some way, but then always felt overwhelmed or thinking what can I do as an individual. So what advice would you give them on maybe either habits that they can do or like talk about sustainability? So what would you tell them as advice?
I would say, I think being aware itself is a good starting point,
Mm.
right? Whatever they are consuming today, whether it's in terms of comfort or whether in terms of stuff for themselves, whether it is the clothing or the food or anything like the chair, or just ask where does it come from. Like just make a bit of an effort, become that curious person to know where it comes from. Like, and that actually, and if you trace back that, and when you figure out the truth, have the courage to know the truth. That's even more important. And when you know that truth, maybe that itself will create it eventually creates action, right? I mean, we're all I don't know whether it's god, nature, we're all made of same material like lungs, eyes. So I think the conscience is also something comes along with that. And I'm sure when we know the truth, that itself will help us to choose what to do. I think
Awesome.
so. That's how I think people will change habits when they actually put an effort towards being in the side of awareness.
Thank you, Ganesh. This was a wonderful conversation. I know we overshot by many minutes, but I loved every bit of it. So thanks for taking the time. It was lovely to host you on Sustainably Curious.
So thank you so much, Pramod. I really enjoyed it as well, and I also enjoyed this so much. I know I took for your questions, I took longer time to answer, but I mean, I'm glad you pinged me and we are talking today. I'm super excited to stay in touch and learn more from you and see if we can collaborate on something together at some point of time. We already have one.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, looking forward to taking learnings from your journey as well, and looking forward to meeting you soon.